Lesson 3, Monitoring Phase. Monitoring is about measuring the progress of the project against its objectives. It is looking at the deviations from the plan and taking any corrective steps or actions to put the project back on track. Here's our cycle. We are now in the monitoring phase. We are now receiving some information from the implementation phase. We got some work that has been done, some activities have been completed. We're starting to receive information, certain outputs. During the monitoring, we check them against the plan. We basically say, are we doing what we plan? Are there any changes, any deviations from what we originally planned? If there are changes, then we need to move that information to the adapt phase where those changes are going to be analyzed. There are going to be some corrections and approvals so that we can have plans that in the next cycle can fix those problems. The implementation steps include monitoring results. That is the data that you collect. There are going to be data coming to you in terms of the work that's been completed, the indicators that you have in the log frame, all that information from your monitoring plan that you're going to be collecting. And you're going to use that to make an assessment of where you are. You're also looking at the scope control, what changes have happened in the scope control. Are we doing all the work that we're supposed to do? Schedule control, that's mostly on seeing how long is it taking us to do what we plan to do. Are we ahead or are we behind? Budget control is also important because we need to make sure that we are looking at the money that we're spending and how much money we got left to make sure that we got enough to complete the project. You also look at team performance. These are the people who are doing the work, so make sure that they are having the right level of support, or they have the skills or the abilities or the tools needed to do their work. And finally, you produce all the reports to communicate with the different stakeholders in terms of the project, what is it doing, what is the progress, and how you're going to be managing some of those issues. The flowchart is very simple in terms of the information from the monitoring. You analyze your scope, you analyze your schedule, you manage budget. When you're doing all of these trees, you're also doing quality control, so it's part of that process. Team performance, and then you communicate your progress. You communicate the progress you made, you communicate some of the issues and the solutions that you have to solve those issues. Some recommendations during this phase. You need to monitor assumptions. It's important at the moment you had the project and the design had some information about assumptions. There could have been a very long time between those two situations, and that means that some assumptions could have changed. And if they change, remember you are having problems now with the log frame logic, that some activities, because of the assumptions are not being held true, you're not going to be able to reach the outputs that were originally planned. So monitor if there are changes on those assumptions. This is also the time for quality control, as the team and the consultants or the service providers are delivering those goods and services. That's when you need to control the quality of those goods and services to make sure that they follow the quality standards that were set up at the beginning, the specifications for those goods and services. Analyze variances, any changes in terms of your schedules, in terms of your budget, and try to understand and look for the root causes. Why is it taking us too long? Why is it costing us so much? And understand that. And out of that, you're also going to be able to identify solutions and then opportunities for changes, not only to fix a problem, but it could be opportunities to increase the number of participants in the project without adding more costs to the project, or opportunities to do something that will have a more impact or increase the number of outputs or reduce the time that it takes us to do some work. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to make those changes that will improve the project. And communicate. It is important that people and the key stakeholders are aware of what's happening in the project. You need to communicate the things that are happening, the good things, the progress you're making. You also need to communicate some of the challenges and issues and risks that you're facing, and communicate how you're going to plan, how you're going to solve those problems, so that people are aware of where you are and they're committed to continue their support to the project.